It's a blessing to welcome on one of the stars of Florida State. He's been there now for 2 years and we're coming up for his third year of playing, and that's Malik Osborne, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good, Zach. How about yourself?
Can't complain. Well, kind of take us
Good.
through how you're feeling. I mean, you're probably, I can imagine, pretty excited that the season's over in terms of COVID wise. You're getting back to normal more and more every day now, but you're now heading into what will be your final redshirt season. Obviously, you have the extra year if you want to utilize that, but just take us through how you're feeling right now.
Oh man, I felt good. I was really happy, with the success of the team last year. Of course, we wanted to go and win it all, but to go as far as we did is still a very good accomplishment, and I just don't want to overshadow that with not coming up with the national championship. But the COVID year was rough. A lot of pauses that we had just due to false positives, a lot of social distancing, not being able to play in some arenas with fans or see family after games. So, it was just a really long season and a big adjustment as far as just a lot of players, especially the younger players who never really got to experience college, and this was their first year of college. So, just being able to be done with that and, getting ready to see how the new changes will be as far as the season coming up with, players being able to get the vaccines and teams getting vaccines and fans getting vaccines and seeing how normal we can get the next season. And I'm very hopeful, very excited, but definitely enjoying this downtime right now to be able to gel with the new team and being able to establish relationships and improve our chemistry.
Obviously, everyone kind of watching the NBA playoffs. I know a lot of colleges announced now too that this most likely going to be full capacity. I'd be kind of shocked if it's not full capacity in 6 months or so. But like you said, I mean, for some of the freshmen coming in, maybe it was still difficult, but they didn't know the way of college yet. So it kind of was just the new learning process for them. But you were in
Yeah.
college for an entire year at Rice. You've been on in college at Florida State for a few years. Like this was a
hmm
whole new different kind of level for you in terms of basketball. So how did you adjust to that?
Oh man, just being able to, already being through college and being more of an experienced guy, just having the time to really just find things that I like personally. There were times where I painted. There were times where I adventure play some new video games. I would read. I would just something just to keep my mind going, even though my body couldn't, and just dibble and dabble in things and see what I liked the most and what I didn't like, and just really getting to know myself. So those are just the small things I really did. Definitely had a lot of conversations with family over FaceTime, friends, just being able to stay connected because this season and the pandemic, it just made everybody so isolated. And you want everything to feel as normal as possible. So you still want to stay in touch with your friends and your family. You still want to be able to do things as if you were just resting. So that's pretty much how I handled that or handled this season with COVID and all its setbacks.
Absolutely. We're getting back into Florida State in a little bit, but I want fans to kind of get to know your story a little bit that's got you to this point. Let's tell all the way back. You're obviously from Illinois. Take us to what it was like growing up out there.
Oh man, Illinois, I mean, it was a great place to be. I grew up in Madison, small suburb, small city in the south suburbs. Got one sister, both parents, and both my parents were athletes. So
Mhm.
me and my sister were heavily involved in sports when we were younger. And being in Illinois, especially close to the city of Chicago, basketball was always just the most competitive thing out there. It just was like the proving grounds. Like football was also a big part of being growing up in Illinois, but basketball was where it was at. Like it was just like it was everywhere. You had people at the outdoor courts, at the YMCA's, at the recs, people in people's backyards, like everything. It just seemed like there was never not a competitive game in Chicago, no matter what you did. And so growing up just in that environment, that atmosphere, it really helped mold my game, help mold my mentality on the court. How I conduct myself on the court, how I act on the court, and just being able to see what it's like to be to kind of grow up in the stigma of what Chicago talk about, like the junkyard dog defense in Chicago and stuff like that. So I mean, it was tough at first, but once I grew up and started understanding why things were happening, understanding why things were working out on the court, it just I started to embrace that, and that's what helped me become a tougher defender, a tougher player, a physical player, a player that enjoys the physicality as opposed to running away from it. Um, More on the just environment side, Growing up in Illinois, it's cold, very cold. Yeah, that was one of the reasons why I ended up down at Rice and at Florida State, was because I wanted to go someplace where it was warm and hot and just good on my joints. But and the fact that I don't have to shovel another driveway was a big bonus too. But yeah, like I just it was cold out there. But of course, everybody knows if you are from the Midwest or up north, you just kind of grow up and get used to it. As like the same way when people grow up and get used to the heat down here, which I have still yet to adjust to.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like it was really good growing up in Illinois. It taught me a lot of things, built a lot of character, gave me a lot of characteristics that have helped me in life and just in my career down the road. And it was just a great experience, being in such a unique environment and atmosphere like Chicago and Illinois, were just a melting pot of people. It's a melting pot of cultures. I got exposed to a lot of things that a lot of people never get exposed to in a lifetime. So it definitely was a great experience, and that's always my home right there.
Now, you mentioned the basketball aspect, and there's not too many places. I know, obviously, baseball was once upon a time like most dominant thing. Now, a lot of states is football, but basketball, there are certain areas and cities like Chicago, Illinois. You obviously mentioned, obviously, areas in New York, areas in California, Atlanta. I think is turning into that now. Parts a lot of Florida too, but I mean, just kind of take us through that atmosphere. Like, that there's tons of talent out there. There's going to be probably 30 plus type of guys going Division I each class at least. Like, there's constant talent spread throughout there, including some of the top guys each year. So just competing against those guys growing up, what was that like?
Oh man, it was rough at first. Like it definitely was rough because there I wasn't really part of like the elite teams. I wasn't an elite player growing up. I just was like one of those players that just was learning the ropes. I mean, I started playing basketball when I was in sixth grade and then really took it serious when I was in eighth grade. So I felt like I was behind when it came to a lot of players. Therefore, I went to a lot of camps. And really, when I went to those camps, it really was just for me to see how I matched up, because I knew that I was behind the eight ball. I knew that these kids had years and years of training. And so it was just basically about me getting exposed to them, seeing how they move, seeing their mentality, their perspective on the game, and just kind of adopting that mentality and that perspective as I grew along in my career. And then to the point where I went from being those people that were trying to learn from those players to competing with those players and to teaching some of those players that when I came to college type thing. And, and then, I mean, a lot of people don't know that, like, usually when you play in Chicago, you play a lot of kids from Indiana too, which is a big basketball state. Like, they are very competitive too. It's like, we're like almost like brothers of Chicago and Indiana when it comes to basketball, and we compete a lot. But yeah, like just even when I went to prep school after high school, right before Rice, I went to a prep school called Don Bosco in Crown Point, Indiana. And there I played a lot of good competition in Indiana. The top kids in Indiana were very skilled, very fundamental, but like they focused on the fundamentals so much to the point where it's like they were elite at it. And to be elite at your fundamentals gives you a significant advantage. Having better foot speed, having, a better handle on it, using your fakes and stuff. It brought a new aspect to the game where it's like, it doesn't have to be all swag and flair, but there's some some fundamentals, some structure to it. Like it's okay to be fundamental and boring a little. It's okay to do that, and that's effective. So that having a melting pot of those two is allow me to have kind of a unique game of mine where I feel like I can, go out there and put a little flair out, but also make sure I utilize my fundamentals so I can be effective and not just be this attraction, this type of thing. I just want to be seen as a good player that just enjoys playing the game, but also has confidence as well. But yeah, just again, back to your point, playing against those guys definitely helped my competitive spirit, my competitive edge. It also helped me sharpen my skills. It helped me be more creative on the court and figuring out how to get open or how to go against this lockdown defender. So I definitely am thankful that I grew up in such a place like Chicago and played against elite talent day in and day out.
And not only that, but you also grew up, like you mentioned too, in a family of athletes. Your dad played football at Iowa State. Your mom was a track star. Like, obviously, it's not necessarily basketball, so you couldn't necessarily take direct advice of basketball skills, but like just the athletics, the understanding of college basketball, recruiting process, how to handle time management, like all that stuff obviously is a huge thing to come from that. So how beneficial were they in your life in terms of molding you into who you are both on and off the court?
Man, I mean, I got to give them all the credit. I mean, I can't really give anybody else any other credit but them. I was very lucky to have two parents that were part of college athletics, and it didn't even have to be the same sport that I was playing, because I tried to model my dad a lot when I was younger and tried to play football. And I did play football for a long time, all the way up to like my junior year. And then I really focused on basketball, but I took football serious. I was very passionate about football. But, once I hit hit a big growth spurt and, became 6'6", 6'7", we both kind of agreed that it would be cool to be a 6'6", 6'7" wide receiver, but you definitely can. You definitely look really better. You look better on the basketball court. So I was like, hey, like I agree with you on that one. So then that's kind of when I dropped football and picked up basketball. But even then, just going through that process of figuring out what worked for me as far as what sport or what program, I had two angels pretty much guiding me. They knew the ins and outs of the business. They educated themselves on the business as far as my sport, because they've been to college, but they never really handled basketball college. It just was football or was track. So they educated themselves. They used their experience, and they would taught me things, coaches' expectations, teammate expectations, expectations you got to have for yourself, taking responsibility, taking accountability, time management, being punctual, how important that is as far as your image, not only to the coaches, but to people on the next level or the people around you. So they gave me an abundance of information. I mean, we would be here for days if I told you everything they told me, but they definitely were a big part of how I just conduct myself on and off the court. They want me to be the grown, the gentleman that they raised me to be, but they also want me to tap in and be a dog on the court as well, like they expect me to be. So, I was very blessed to have two parents that went through the college athletic route.
Now, before you head in your high school career, the crazy thing about your journey is that you didn't leave high school as this top ranked guy. You didn't leave it all this year. You took an extra year. Then you got a whole lot of offers that way. You go to Rice. We'll talk about that a little bit. Like a guy that's now been a key, crucial part to this Florida State, two back-to-back years in the runs. Obviously, last year you started majority of the games. This year, you're a huge piece. Still started some games. Like guys might have thought a guy's on a team that's going to the Sweet 16 with that big of a role. You were always a well-known, high-recruited player. That wasn't your story. So kind of take us through that. Like, how did this all come to be? How did you become this guy that's now key piece on one of the top teams in the country the past few years?
Man, oh wow, this is a question that I love answering a lot. I mean, it's kind of funny how the last question kind of rolls into this one, because there was a time where I didn't make my high school team my junior year, and at that point that was a very crucial point in my career, because it was like the first time I felt like I didn't have an identity. Like I felt like I didn't know where to go. Like of course school was going to be there, and my parents enforced school and told me how important that was regardless of basketball, and I always took care of my studies, so that was never really an issue. But like not being able to play basketball, that was new for me. I was always that person that was making the team, or at least creating an opportunity for myself to the point where I can make something happen, or some people can see my value later on. But I just didn't even have the opportunity in my junior year, so it just was like it was confusing. It was frustrating. I was depressed. I was sad. I was frustrated. I was questioning myself. I was confused, and then my parents just told me that you can't stop the work here. Like you're a good player. It's all about having self-confidence and believing in yourself regardless of what was going to happen. And I mean, they pulled so many strings for me as far as just like taking me to camps, getting me with trainers, getting me with making sure I worked on my body, and making sure I just handle what I need to handle in the meantime, so I would be ready for the next year. And so they gave me that perspective that, okay, this year didn't work out the way you wanted to, but next year will. And you have to make it work. It's not going to be easy. And from that point on, I just kept working. I kept working. I mean, graduated from high school, didn't have any, I had an NAIA school offer from Martin Methodist, and then a junior college offer from Shawnee College in Carbondale, Illinois. And both of those offers, I felt like, I was definitely thankful for both of those. But I also felt like, I felt like I could push myself and be a better player. Like I can make more opportunities for myself. Therefore, I went to Don Bosco Prep in Crown Point, Indiana. And so that was when I went to prep school and came in with 0 offers, and my coaches kind of were on me. They knew what I wanted to be. They knew my potential. They knew that I had the work ethic and I had the drive for it. So they pushed me harder than I've ever been pushed. And then I ended up leaving that prep school with 10 offers. You know, I mean, offers ranging from Seton Hall, I had Oregon State, I had East Carolina, I had William and Mary. I mean, it was like, it was just such a wide range. And, you know, I was like, to get one offer, I was blessed. You know, I was very blessed. I think I got my first offer from UMCMB. Yeah, that UMCMB. And then from that point on, I was like, wow, like I didn't, for the first time, I felt like I was a Division I player. And then after that, they just kept rolling in and kept rolling in and kept rolling in. And then that's when I felt like, okay, now the next year I got to, you know what I'm saying, validate that I deserve to be here. And so then I ended up committing to Rice University because I felt like that was the best opportunity, not only for me to learn and grow as a man, but just also grow as a player, get a place where I can get some playing time. And then, you know, also just be a part of a college and be a part of a community and feel like what it's like to be in college as well. So, I mean, Rice did everything. They provided me with the great coaches. You know, they worked with me. They were patient with me. They cared about me. And, you know, when it was all said and done, you know, I felt like I appreciated everything they gave me, everything they did for me, the opportunity. And I felt like I could compete at a higher level. And that's when I ended up going to decide to transfer. And then I had another range of options, but you know, it was crazy when Florida State offered me because I was in my room with my roommate and we were watching Florida State and I was like, wow, like I feel like I could really play here. Like, and then my grandma called me and she was like, are you watching Florida State? I can see you playing at Florida State. And then I was like, wow, like and then once they offered me, it just was like, it felt like it was supposed to happen. It felt like, you know, this was, you know, a slight reward for my hard work and the times I've been patient, I've been grinding. So then I ended up coming to Florida State and loved it immediately. The team, the family, I mean, the team, the coaches, the atmosphere. It was a family atmosphere being in Tallahassee, how everything was like community, being down south where it's warm, you know, Fiondu was on the team at the time and he played at my prep school, the same exact prep school I played at the year before. So I was like, I got to hang out with him, learn with him. And it just seemed like it was perfect. It just seemed like it was a perfect opportunity. And then even then coming into Florida State, it just was like, it was almost scary because it was like growing up, you wanted to get this offer coming out of high school and you never did. And then now you look up and you're here. You're here, you're in the same position you wanted to be. Didn't happen how you thought it was going to happen, but it's here. It happened. And then it just was like a surreal experience. And it was motivating to the point where I was like, okay, I felt like I really got to amp it up because if I wasn't good enough to like get the scholarship out of high school, and I just got here in my own way. Like I really got to put this work in because these players have been here. They earned this. They put the X amount of hours in that I missed out on when I started so late. And so then I came here and I worked. And Coach Jones, the coaching staff was very, very patient. Coach Jones, Coach CY, Coach Gates, Coach Smith, Coach Ham, our strength and conditioning coach, Coach Bradley got my body right. Like they all were committed and I was committed to them as well. So it just was like it was a really good mutual relationship that we had. And they taught me the ways. I learned from a lot of good players. I learned from Terrence. I learned from Trent, Devin, Raekwon, MJ. I mean, I can go down the list. Phil, PJ. It was so many players that came through that I just learned from. And I was just like, you know, like learning from them, playing my game at the same time because I had my confidence in I was a good player. It all just worked out. And I just started having success at Florida State. And as I was having success, you know, I just had ambition to, you know, also play on the next level. So it was like I really wanted to show that in my attitude, my work ethic, and still to this day, like I still want to represent that, show that, you know, that I've learned from a lot of players. I've seen a lot of things, been in a lot of situations, been through countless workouts with coaches. Like this is like I definitely have a lot to offer as far as just being a leader and as a player. And you know, it's starting to manifest itself. So, you know, it's a blessing, really. It's really a blessing.
And it's obviously a story where we see how God obviously has this different path for everyone. And obviously you have this exact kind of definition of that. And like you said, you kind of walked through this whole high school career a little bit, but to go back to that. So if I were to ask you your freshman year, so before you even step foot on a basketball court, that you're eventually going to become a Division I prospect and going to become a key piece, even a starter now for Florida State. Like, could you ever seen that in your freshman year?
Not a chance. Not a chance. I was my freshman year. I mean, I was 5'6" my freshman year. I was 5'6", 150 maybe. I was frail. My metabolism was through the roof. It felt like every time I ate food, the weight would just disappear. It just would just vanish in thin air. And it was like, man, like that helped. That was a struggle even for like my football career. Was like I wanted to go Division I for football, and I just couldn't put no weight on. And being 5'6", I was like, man, like if I don't have no weight on me and I'm 5'6", like I don't really stand a chance. And so if you was to come to me and be like, hey, you were going to be a key part of Florida State, and you guys are going to be regular season champions, and you guys are going to make a deep run, and you're going to be a starter, and then you're going to be a key piece. I would honestly look at you like you had three heads, and then I would honestly just walk away and tell my parents that this stranger came to me and was just speaking gibberish. But yeah, like I said, I could not tell you. I mean, I wouldn't believe you if you told me that my freshman year. I couldn't even see it for myself for a second. But I always thought about it. I always imagined it, but never really saw it for real come to fruition until about when I left Rice. I mean, until it happened is when I believed it.
Mm-hmm. So I know there's always a point, like we can kind of disregard the rankings and all that, but like you personally, like when did you start feeling that? You know, I actually have a chance of playing Division I. Like I do feel like every time I'm on a court, I'm one of, not the best player on the court at all times. Like, was that in high school? Was that when you went prep at Bosco? Like, when did you start believing that, you know, I truly think I'm good enough to play Division I?
It really was when I got to prep school.
Mm-hmm.
When I got to prep school, I mean, when I was a senior in high school, and that's when I played at my local high school, Rich South High School, which is now Rich Township. But I played at Rich South, and when I transferred to Rich South my senior year, and I made all conference, and you know, I took my team to become conference champions. And at that point, I was like, you know, like I feel like I may not be, and even at that time, I was like, I may be D1 low major, maybe, but like I definitely felt like my game has came a long way to the point where I can be a key piece to the team, whether it be Division I or Division II or Division III. Because even when I came out of high school, I seriously was considering Shawnee College, and I was seriously considering Martin Methodist, because I felt like, okay, I'm here, and like I feel like I'm still I could be a good piece for this team, but also I felt like this was just like, I felt like it was just a better setting for me at the time. But yeah, like when I got to prep school and I went from 0 offers to 10 offers, that's when I was like, okay, I really feel like I can be I'm a really good I could be a Division I player for real. Like after the first offer, I was like, okay, somebody thinks I'm a Division I talent. But after the third, fourth offer, I was like, okay, I feel like I can really be something. I can really do something with basketball and really make some serious money with basketball, or just create an opportunity to at least get a free education with basketball. But that was, yeah, really around after my third offer at prep school.
Take us to those first 3 years, and like you said, you obviously didn't make the team your junior year. Just walk us through those, like your freshman, sophomore year, and then how'd you end up finding out that you didn't make the team? I'm sure obviously it was the tryouts or whatnot, but just take us to those first 3 years, and we'll talk about your breakout season senior year then.
Okay. My freshman year. My freshman year was smooth. I played with a lot of friends that I went to in middle school, and you know, we played on the same freshman team. I was the better one around amongst all my friends, but I knew my friends were also good, so it just was really fun. We went through a lot of experience. We were taught discipline, we just were learning. We were just little sponges, just kind of just whatever they're telling us. We were all ears. We were just trying to listen. And that year went well. We had a really good winning season. I was a key part of the team, a really big part of the team. And then at that point, you know, I was already getting like attention from my sophomore coach on the sophomore team. So I felt like, okay, like I really, like after this year, I really can be something on the next year on the sophomore team. And so that year went well. We had a winning season. It was just fun. Really, I mean, everybody's freshman year, especially if you make the freshman team, you're really just chilling, you know. But my second year, I went from 5'6" to like 6 foot my sophomore year. So like now I came back with a little more height. I was starting to put on a little more weight, but still like I didn't take it. I mean, it wasn't being taken too serious because our varsity team was really good at this time. Like I went to Marian Catholic, so it was like Tyler Eulis was there, and we were like ranked. And we were a really good team, and they were all juniors. So the next year, we all knew they were going to be all seniors, and it was going to be the same team. So really, my sophomore year, I really wasn't even looking at varsity because I knew that this was a young team and they were going to keep the same exact team. And so sophomore year, didn't play as much time, but also like my skill set, like I felt like it should have been a little better. But I had my struggles during my sophomore year with going from just being the guy my freshman year to like not really being the guy my sophomore year, especially with like a lot of talented players from freshman year come up too. So it was like a lot of sharing. And so I struggled with that a little. But then when it came to being my junior year, that's when it really got interesting because we had a lot of good players, but it just wasn't enough space. It wasn't enough space for a lot of people, but I definitely felt like I was one of those top players at the time. And, I guess at that point, like, I just didn't fit the vision, right? At that point, I really just didn't fit the vision. There was one vision where it was like rebuilding a really good varsity team. Because at that point, when I got to my junior year, that varsity team that was really good and ranked left, like the whole team almost. So it was like, at this point, I was like, I mean, I kind of got to make the team, but, like there's a lot of pieces and there's a lot of, it's going to have to be a lot of sharing, but, just didn't match up with the vision. And so didn't end up making the team. And so at that point, like I told you, it was a rough time because, I felt like I should have. I felt like my skill set was there. And also I went from 6 foot to being 6'4", 6'5". So I was growing like a stalk for a second. Like I was hitting growth spurt after growth spurt. But yeah, I didn't make it my junior year. And that really was like, that was just a really tough time because, you go to school, you had to go to school the next day and, the basketball team practicing and you're not on that team. And, I got my friends talking about like, oh, you should have made the team. How you didn't make the team? That's crazy. That's crazy. Like all these people telling me like I should have made the team. And then it's like, I'm not on the team. And it's just like, I was frustrating in itself too. Cause it was like, I'm a kid at the same time and I'm going through this always felt like a midlife crisis. Like, I'm like, I don't know what to do with myself. And so that's what I said. My parents were just it was such an important, just crucial part of like my success to this day. Cause it's they were telling me to be patient and just to keep working. Like things always ain't gonna work out like that. Like they know they've been through college where they were playing and they weren't playing, but they couldn't just stop playing because if you stop playing, somebody else is gonna take your job and you won't be able to catch up. And so they just said, keep playing, just keep working on yourself, keep working on your body. This is time to develop. This is time to develop, but you got to stay with it. And, and they pretty much kind of told me, we're not going to invest no money if you're not going to stay with it now. So like, if you want to do something else besides basketball, let us know. And I was like, no, I want to do basketball. So I just put that time in. And then that's when I ended up, transferring my senior year and then just kind of seeing the rewards of the work that I put in. And then from there point on, I just kept seeing just more rewards of the work that I was putting in. But yeah, like back to my junior year, that just was that's kind of how the first 3 years went. And then yeah, my senior year I transferred. I went to South.
So if I would have told you at that point, then like the day or two after you got cut, that then you're gonna become this guy you become, would you have been more shocked at that point, or would you have been more shocked to me telling you that in your freshman year?
I would be more shocked at you telling me, sheesh. That's a good question. That's a really good question because at my junior year, I definitely felt confident about myself. I definitely felt confident in my skill set. It just was at that time, not making the team just really rattled me. It rattled me for a second because it was like, it was almost an expectation. Like I expected to make the team, but the question was how effective or how much would I produce on the team? But then I didn't even get to that second question because I didn't even make the team. So it was like that just kind of really shook me. But yeah, I would say I'd be more shocked if you told me after I got cut because my freshman year, I mean, shoot, I felt like a lot of things were possible, but it was just so uncertain. Like I didn't know. I was 5'6", the yada yada yada. Like I didn't know, but I definitely could believe because life works out in mysterious ways.
Mm-hmm.
But like my junior year, like I done already grew, I already done put the time in and stuff like that, and then I still get cut like that. If you would have told me that, then I probably would have. I probably wouldn't even thought twice about it. I'd have been too shocked, but I wouldn't even think twice about it because I wouldn't even believe you.
And like you mentioned, this whole growth spurt, I think you said you grew nearly almost a foot in about a 2 year span, maybe 2.5, whatever, basically. But
yeah.
How'd your body adjust to that? I can't imagine that was easy on you. How'd you adjust to growing that rapidly?
Oh my gosh. It all started when I was like in eighth grade.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in eighth grade, and I just remember being in this rec league. And one day in practice, my knees were just hurting, they were hurting so bad. Like that's when I started wearing knee pads because they just were so sensitive that I felt like if you were just to brush it wrong, I would not be able to move for like 10 minutes. So it was just so bad because my growth plates were just so wide open and my knees were so sensitive that I just like it was painful for a couple times. So and especially playing a sport like basketball where it's so physical and then playing football too, like I really worried about my knees a lot. And like I said, my freshman year, I grew a little, but I didn't know how much I grew until I was going my sophomore, junior year when I was playing football. And we had summer workouts and we went away for like a 2-week break at the end. I'm pretty sure my football players will know what I'm talking about. In the summer, at the last 2 weeks, you get a break. And this was in high school. So we got a break for the last 2 weeks of the month. And then we started back up in July. And I came back in July and I was the tallest one in my friend group. And everybody was like, when did this happen? Because I was the shortest one just 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. And so I was just I was sleeping all the time. I was eating everything. And as soon as I got done eating, I went straight to sleep. And that's when I did most of my growing was my junior year when I didn't make the team, after every workout, I would just eat and go straight to sleep. I would sleep for 5 to 6 hours a day, just sleep. My sleep schedule was so messed up. It was a tough time, but I was sleeping all the time. And then before I knew it, I came back and I'm like 6'6". I was just 6 foot my sophomore year. Now I'm 6'6" by the end of my junior year. And it just was it was crazy. And the fact that I, got to my senior year at Rich South, I graduated at like 6'8". And a lot of people saw me at Rich South because it wasn't too far away from my other high school. So it was like, they just couldn't believe it. They were like, how'd you get this tall? And I was like, I don't know. If I had the answer, I'd sell it to you. But I just don't know. And like I said, my body just was shutting down. It was just going to sleep. It was eating, it was going to sleep. It was eating, it was going to sleep. It was almost like it knew what it was doing. It was trying to communicate with me, but I didn't know because I was just young and nobody really told me. I was just eating and I was sleeping and my knees were just very sensitive. I thought it was puberty, but I was like, again, I didn't know how tall I was going to get.
Mm-hmm. So as you mentioned, you transfer out for your senior season and you have an incredible year. You guys go 18-8 as a record. You get all conference first team. You average 11.7 rebounds. Like you can really get an opportunity for the first time throughout high school. Just kind of briefly, take us to that year. Like what was like kind of getting an opportunity and finally just being able to play high school basketball?
Oh man, it was so relieving. It was so relieving. But at the end, it started getting a little stressful. Just because, not because of the season, not because anything changed. It just it's almost like reality kind of hit me at the same time. Like my senior year, I had a great year. I love the team. I love the coach. I stay in contact with the coach to this day and bring him out to games. I mean, I owe him a lot too because just for giving me that opportunity. But
mm-hmm.
it was just it was crazy. Like he saw the potential in me. And he just told me to play my game, and my team saw the potential in me, and they told me to play my game. And so I was just playing. And then as well as the season was going, winning all conference and all that, winning the conference championship. Like by the time I got to the end, I realized that this was supposed to happen last year, and I was like, wow, now people are seeing me, but usually people get seen their junior year and they get offered their senior year. And it was this was just my senior. And I was like, now I'm sitting here where people have interest in me, but they really want me to do another year to offer me. And I was like, I had to find an option at that time because it was when we lost our last game, I was kind of stressed because I'm out here with no offers. I had 0 offers and I had a great year. I was a known player in the South Suburbs during that time, because, I was really helping out a school that has been good in the past. And it just was dang, I ain't got no offers. And, but I mean, eventually, like I said, things kind of worked out the way they did going to prep school and whatnot. But yeah, being able to hoop was really good. It was really fun. I enjoyed myself so much. I enjoyed that team so much. But yeah, at the end, that's when things started getting stressful. But it didn't really affect me till after the season because, I mean, I was having so much fun during the season. I really didn't have time to think about it. I just got caught up in being a varsity high school player for the first time.
Now, this is not like a once in a lifetime story. We've heard a lot of these stories keep coming out about different guys. I mean, we even maybe the greatest player of all time, debatably, Michael Jordan. Obviously, he even didn't make his varsity team. But last year,
Right.
the countless list of guys that either have to go JUCO for a couple of years to come become a Division One guy, take a prep year. Even
Yeah.
Jason Preston's story of the way that all worked out. Like the stories go on about guys. But how
Right.
does that help you guys? Like when you talk about all these different names that you just think of that have a unique journey of becoming eventually who they become as an athlete or any area of life, like how does that make you, like what's kind of like the advice you give to other guys that are going through process that don't have offers? And I think there's gonna be a lot more of those too because of the whole COVID stuff with AAU recently.
Hmm.
But like what's your
Yeah.
advice to guys that are going to be slept on coming out of high school?
Oh man. Shoot, I definitely would tell them what my parents told me. I mean, all the advice that I was sharing was it's just to keep working. It's so hard. I know it's so hard, especially mentally as a kid, mentally as a player that knows your worth and wants to, wants the rewards and stuff to reflect it. It's hard. You got to keep working. You got to keep working, and you got to put yourself in positions to be seen. What really helped me was that the prep school year, and the prep school year was definitely literally a year to be seen. Like I was seeing my senior year, and I saw my prep school really as my second year of varsity high school, really,
Mm-hmm.
because I was like this is an opportunity. I want to have exposure. Make sure to go out there and play against the top players. If the top players are going to a camp, go to that camp. Go to that camp, and the worst thing can happen is that you learn something from the camp. You learn something about what you need to work on. You learn something as far as a new aspect to your game. You learn something as to what your strengths are. You learn something with how you play with other people, how you interact. Like you will at least learn something in that process. And just to always have self-confidence. This self-confidence is huge. It is so huge because there are going to be players, there are going to be coaches, there are going to be friends, there are going to even be family that is going to try to tear you down. And sometimes they might not even do it intentionally. They may say something like, man, like you came a long way, but that boy over there is pretty nice. And you feel like, like you're just not good enough yet. And it's like you got to believe in yourself. You got to. I mean, it's the same game. I'm not saying like when I say that, I mean like a lot of times I kind of go into the mentality to relax myself in a lot of games is that just imagine that I'm playing at the rec. Imagine that, you know, I'm out there hooping with the guys and this is some big glorified open gym. And when you get in that setting where you feel pressure, where you on the court with a high recruiter or a really good team or the scouts on the side, like you're at a glorified open gym. Keep playing, just play how you play. Visualize that are at that spot that you normally be at, and that will calm you down. That will relax you. That will allow you to be more comfortable and to play your game the way you play your game. So yeah, that's the real big thing. To keep working, to definitely have that self-confidence and just to put yourself in positions where you are going to be exposed, where somebody can at least see the potential in you or have the opportunity to see the potential in you, because you never know who that coach knows. Basketball is a small world. I know there was the Martin Methodist coach that was the Martin Methodist coach that was there that offered me after high school ends up being a coach at Morehead State. Like all these coaches are connected. If somebody knows somebody's in a position to do something. So make sure you expose yourself, believe in yourself, and just keep working as if you already kind of getting recruited already. Like as if you know what I'm saying, you already get that attention. Just keep working, and use that stuff and use all that animosity as motivation. Don't bottle it in. Don't take it personal, because there's a lot of people with a lot of opinions. And even when you get good, there's going to be a lot more people with a lot more opinions. Those opinions are always going to be out there. So as long as you are sure in yourself and you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to be fine.
So let's get into that prep year you took. So you go out there and obviously, once again, a great season. And those that know basketball in the basketball world know obviously Bosco Academy. Obviously, you guys have a lot of different stuff that guys that have come out of that played at a high level. Like you mentioned, even one of your future teammates at Florida State went there, obviously McConaughey, that's obviously an NBA player too. But you
Yeah.
go out there and you guys have a solid season. You average 14 points and 9 rebounds. You guys win the championship again. You're MVP of that. Like, take us through the whole season and how much you saw yourself grow that year.
Oh man, I saw myself grow in a lot of aspects that year. we lived in these apartments too. So like that was my first time living by myself.
Mhm.
So I went through like, I don't know, I guess the basic freshman things. Even though I wasn't in college, I felt like I was in college. I was calling my mom, asking her how to cook. I was calling her as far as just like how to clean. It just
Mhm.
was like it was bad because I was like, man, I should know all this stuff. But then again, like I was glad that I had a year to learn this stuff before I actually got in the real world and
Mhm.
struggled for real. So that I learned myself. I mean, I saw myself mature as far as just how I manage my time, how I conduct myself on a day-to-day basis, as far as having a routine, being on schedule, being consistent, doing things even when I don't want to do things, cleaning up around the house even when I don't want to, just to have that mature mindset going into college. And that I was thankful for that. Basketball wise, I learned that people are going to push you. Like I've been pushed before, but people are going to continually push you. And even though when you don't think that they don't know what they're doing, sometimes they do know what they're doing. Sometimes they do know that they're pushing you a little harder. They sometimes they do know that they're getting on you a little more because they just see that potential. And that was one thing I learned. I learned that you can't react to everything. You can't react to the petty things. You can't react because there's a lot of petty things that happen in basketball, a lot of petty things that happen in life, and there's a lot of petty people out there in life. You can't react to everybody on the court, fans, none of that. Like you gotta. I learned how to stay focused, how to keep my calm, keep my composure, being able to play through adversity, play through tight situations, games, and what else? As far as a player, just being a really good teammate. I learned how to be happy for the success of others. um, my prep school team was amazing at Don Bosco. We had so much chemistry. We were very connected, and we all stay in touch to this day. So like I learned how to be on the bench and just be happy for other success because at one point people weren't happy for my success. It was times where I could be shining and people weren't rocking with me like that, and just being on that team, everybody was just as happy as it was for the next person. Everybody was happy when somebody else dunked. Everybody was happy when somebody hit a big three. Everybody was happy when we ended up winning the game, regardless if they played or not or scored double-digit points or not. And that was just the culture that I grew up in my prep school year, and that helped me grow and mature as a player. It helped me a lot tremendously, especially going into Rice. It helped me adapt the mentality that was favorable not only with coaches but with the teammates as well.
Let's go to that recruiting process. Like you said, it's kind of a weird selection of schools. You get some high majors like Oregon State, Seton Hall. You get some
Yeah,
lower mid-major type schools. You get a solid school in Rice. Like you get these schools all over the place in terms of levels and attention.
yeah.
So walk us through how you narrowed down your decision and ultimately chose Rice as a school you want to attend.
So it all started when I think the first offer was Rice. I think
Mhm.
that out of those, because my final four was East Carolina, um, Oregon State, Seton Hall, and Rice. And how I narrowed it down to those four was just basically off of, you know, basically what I look for in the school and, what they have to offer as far as just academic programs, how good are they academically as a school? How good are they athletically as a school as far as the basketball team? And then just kind of finding that balance of, who provides the good academics and who provides the basketball aspect, as far as just like having an opportunity to play, the where they play, how often they play, the conference, all that was all just into consideration. And Rice just kind of came out on top as far as just like, they had a new coach, so he was going to be there for a while. They had some players leave, so there were some gaps to fill. So there was definitely an opportunity to play. They were in Conference USA with teams like Marshall, Western Kentucky, Old Dominion, Middle Tennessee. What I'm saying, they got schools that been to the the March Madness tournament and won a couple games. So the competition was also there. So like as a freshman, it just was nailing everything. It was in the South again, warm, beautiful campus, a lot of accessibility being in Houston, good social life. It was just checking off everything. And so that's kind of how I ended up choosing Rice out of the four schools.
We already discussed this whole journey now where you obviously didn't make a junior team, then you played your senior year, like all this stuff happened for you and you're heading now to your Division I school at Rice, which is a really solid mid-major school. And you
Yeah.
end up starting the final 27 games of that season. You become a key piece of that roster. You had 12 plus, 10 plus games. Like you really are one of the key pieces on this roster. So just seeing that development now, where you were just 2 years ago to now starting at a high mid-major school, what was that like to kind of embrace in that role now?
I mean, at Rice, I had to go through that process of just like being a freshman,
Mhm.
coming in, just having to work your tail off, do everything right, learn from the older guys, but also like hold your own when it comes to open gyms and practices. So like it felt like it was a lot on my plate, you know, just with school and basketball, but eventually I ended up finding that perfect balance. And then, I didn't play, like I said, early in the season, I didn't play that much time in the first few games. And I figured, it's just like I'm a freshman, but then I just kept working, which was what, like, I mean, pretty much how I got there was pretty much by just working and just being confident in myself and still playing my game, regardless of if I, what I'm saying, don't feel so confident and not just going back to how who I am and how I got here. And so eventually over time, like I started with just finding a role. Like I feel like that's a key piece with a lot of players don't know today is that like everybody's not looking for, what I'm saying, a LeBron James all the time. They don't as cool as it sounds to have a team full of LeBron James, you gotta have one. You gotta have one and you gotta have people who know how to work with LeBron James. And so at that time, my role was like, how do I work with a team and make myself valuable? And I started off with just rebounding. And so even if you go back and people could go back and check the stats, like when I started playing more minutes, my rebounding was going up. I was rebounding more, and I was rebounding more, and I was rebounding more. I was hustling, I was playing hard, I was playing with energy, and just going there. And my whole thought process was just to rebound, 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 rebound. Got a lot of rebounds, ended up getting more time. And then with that more time was when I started to do other things that were part of my game. So then I started implementing more stuff onto it as opposed to just trying to force everything at one time and then end up making myself look like a bad player. So
Mhm.
when I started rebounding, then I eventually started shooting. Once I started shooting at a higher clip, then I had more opportunities to shoot. So then at that point, everything was coming together. The rebounding was coming together. The shooting was coming together, and then it was like, now I'm starting to kind of work in my game into our system. And so, just embracing the role of being a freshman and, then just being a rebounder and an energy guy, like that was fun. It was fun because I definitely I love being the energy guy. I love getting people going. I love seeing other people do well. I'm happy for my teammates all the time. I love hanging out with my teammates, regardless if I love my teammates at Rice. I love my teammates at Florida State. I still talk to both of them at the same time. Even the guys that leave, I still talk to them because I build a connection with people because, I enjoy that. And so when I played games and the crowd was going crazy because I was being an energy guy, like I embraced it even more because it's like now what I wanted to do is actually happening.
Mhm.
And so then, yeah, that just being able to fit into that role and embrace that role and transfer that role over here to Florida State, I loved it. I loved it a lot.
I have to imagine that first day that coach came to you and said, "All right, you're gonna become a starter now when you just start this game." Was had to be a big day because, like I said too, like you look back at like
Mm-hmm.
3 years ago, you couldn't even make your varsity team at high school. Now you're starting at a
Right.
Division I level. So take us through how coach told you that and just what your reaction was when coach said, "We want you starting now."
So what happened was our big man ended up getting hurt. So he ended up getting hurt the game before I was about to start. And at that point, I was like, I think what game was that? I think that might have been. I'm not sure if that was UNLV
Hmm.
or Ole Miss. I think it might have been Ole Miss when I started,
Hmm. It was on
and
this, yeah.
it was Ole Miss, and it was Ole Miss, and we played Ole Miss, and he was saying like, yeah, like he's hurt. We're gonna need your help. We're gonna need that energy. We're gonna need that rebounding. And for me to play, not only start on Division I level, but to start against a really well-known program like Ole Miss, like it was like
Mhm.
it was some of the anxiety was going up, but at the same time, I was like I was telling myself like, hey, like if you want to like be a good player, like good players start, so you got to be used to doing this. You got to be okay with like this. Has got to be you got to be fine. You got to be okay. And so then, of course, like I kind of took out a lot of energy in my warm ups, trying to just burn it off, because I knew that if I came to the game, that it was bound to turn to mistakes. So burned off a lot of energy in warm-ups, and by the time I got my name announced, didn't even know what my celebration was. I think I just walked out there and just dapped up my teammate and just walked out. But it was just so nerve-wracking, but it was fun though. I got to experience what it like to start on the collegiate level, to start against a Division I team. I mean, that first win was no joke. I mean, that joint hit me hard for the first time. And that was my first time really just like experiencing that. And it was fun in hindsight, definitely. And so, yeah, it was just a crazy experience, exciting experience. My parents were happy. I was happy. But I was like, at the same time, I was saying like, I got to get used to this because like, if I see myself as this player, that this is going to be something that's normal.
Now, there are two games I want to key in on. You had a 24-point outing against Marshall, then you had a 20-point game against FIU. How big were those games for your confidence, not just that season, but now going forward in your career?
Uh, the Marshall game was it was funny how that happened. How the Marshall I ended up playing that game. My prep school coach was telling me how big of a game it was for me, and the funny thing was he was telling me that the Marshall coach was like, he was one of those coaches that told me apparently that I wasn't good enough. Like he came to my prep school and apparently saw me play and didn't think I was like worth it or whatever. But I mean, at that time, like I was too busy playing, so I didn't even know. So my prep school coach texted me right before the game, said like, "Remember, he didn't believe in you," and it was so hard to get psyched up for that because I didn't even know that he did not believe in me, and so so I was like, wow, that's crazy. But at the same time, I'm like, I had no idea. And so we go to the game, and it really just was like, it felt like the game was just coming to me. I felt like everything that I had was just coming to me. Like the shots that I was able to take, I felt like they were just sagging off because they didn't think I could shoot well. Hit a few threes. I got into the post and was able to use a lot of my footwork and my strength to get around because they were such a fast team, but they were fast, but the guys weren't as like strong. So I was able to use a lot of muscle to get a lot of buckets in the paint, rebounds, putbacks, and everything was just kind of flowing for me. And I feel like that was like the game I played the most minutes since that was the most minutes I played, I think, since I've been starting, since I've been playing at Rice. So I was gassed as a freshman. I was like, oh my God. Like I just was like, I just knew that if I get close to the basket, I got to put the ball in because I was just so gassed. But then I looked up and I had like 20 points. And then I was like, but we were losing at the time. So I was like, we got to keep going. I got to keep going. And then we ended up still losing the game. But I had the best game of my life. So It was also still like a confidence booster. It was like, hey, like I can be capable of being a scorer if need be. But I don't want to get caught up in that because I don't want to lose my identity of like being an energy guy and a rebounder guy because that's how I got here in the first place. And plus, everybody can score. So it was like, but it showed me though that I had that capability. Same thing with FIU. It showed me that of what I was capable of. It showed me that, when my name's called, I can still deliver. And I think we did come up short in the FIU game too, but still, it just was it kind of gave me that confidence going forward that I can, this is what I'm capable of. This is what I can do if need be. I don't look forward to, I'm not looking to try to shoot every shot at all, but definitely if my time is called, my name is called, I always refer back to those games. It's like, this is what I'm capable of.
Mm-hmm. So following that season, then you put your name in the portal and you decide to go through this new recruiting process where now you have a lot of the country wanting you. You're being pursued by San Diego State, Kansas State, Seton Hall, Wisconsin, clearly Florida State's in that mix. The list goes on of schools. So how was this recruiting process? Because we once again go back to everything. No offers coming out of high school, a solid 10 group that was kind of up and down there. And then you have this entire list of what really every kid dreams of growing up, of having this many schools wanting you. So just take us through that recruiting process, how you came down to Florida State, and just what was embracing that?
Oh man, that process was nuts. Oh my gosh, I really I wish I could put it into words how crazy it was and how crazy it was, not only just on the aspect that that I'm being recruited again, that I'm trying to look for another school again, but just the level of schools and the amount of effort that they were trying to put towards me. And it was just me and my really like I mean really me and my dad, like my mom of course and my sister saw the process, so they were very like just like, oh thank goodness, like they were just happy for me. But like me and my dad were like, I remember me and my dad were just, we was in the trenches. We was going to like almost every open gym we could just to give me exposure. We were driving. We took a 1 day visit at Martin Methodist. Like drove 7 hours there, just and worked out, saw the campus, and drove 7 hours back because I had to go to school the next day. And you know what I'm saying? Like I had to. I mean, I just had to be there. But it was just like he was in the trenches with me, working out and all that. So like we was just talking like it's just crazy. Like I remember we were trying to email these schools, we were hoping, we was just speculating, we would just crack jokes, we would just imagine, just talk about hypothetical situations about it. And like, here it is, like these schools are showing genuine interest, thinking that I could be an asset to them. And like it was schools like on the ACC, the Big Ten, the Big 12, the Mountain West. It was insane. And my dad was just like, he was almost like in tears, was like, what I'm saying? We were just like, about like, we got an offer from UMBC and we thought we made it. Like, we thought like, it was like, we finally did it. And then here we are, like getting recruited by these schools that have made it to March Madness, are known, have high level players, like, what I'm saying? Players that were in positions that I wanted to be at when I was in high school. And so we enjoyed it. We just enjoyed the recruiting process again. Like we didn't rush it. We really just wanted to enjoy it and just, kind of feel like, what I'm saying, like it was almost like the high school visit, or going through that high school process of getting recruited out of high school, or I didn't really get the opportunity to, but now I'm kind of like still seeing the same things they seeing. And so yeah, we took visits to Wisconsin. We took a visit, and then we ended up taking a visit to Florida. Took a visit to Seton Hall as well, Oregon State, and then I'm digressing all the way back to my first one, but we took a visit to Wisconsin, and then I think we took another visit to Seton Hall, I think, and then we took a visit to FSU, and it was a wrap. Once I got to FSU, I just saw what they had to offer, how I fit in. They showed me how I fit in. You know what I'm saying? I immediately gelled with the guys, and it was I mean, it was great. Like that whole recruiting process, it wasn't even as stressful as the first one, because it's just like, we're kind of more seasoned this time around. The first time we weren't as seasoned. This time we're like, we know what to look for, we know what we want, and we know what these schools have to offer because we did our research. So that was fun.
So you obviously choose Florida State, but if you remember back, like, was there number two option? Like, if they didn't come into the picture, like, was there another school like, you really, really liked?
Geez, I did. I liked Wisconsin. I did like Wisconsin. I just didn't feel like it just didn't fit the system or the type of player I was.
Mm-hmm.
Like Wisconsin's a very, it's the Big Ten. The Big Ten, they play very traditional sometimes, with traditional big men who are bruisers, and they got designated point guards and designated shooters, and like everybody has an established role. And it was like, I felt like that was kind of what was my biggest misunderstanding during my career, was that like how my role was really just like when I was a point guard, and then I grew and I started becoming taller, and then I was seen as like a big man. I felt that was one of my misunderstandings, as far as just like me as a player was like, okay, I got to high school and they were saying big man, big man, big man. And I'm like, I'm not a big man. I was a guard. I was 5'6" my freshman year. I had to work on ball handling, all that. And then so, then it came to them looking at Wisconsin, and it was like, okay, like they kind of defined roles, and I felt like Florida State was just positionless basketball. Like I could just play whatever, anybody could play whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it never was like big man, big man, big man, big man, shooter, point guard. It was like player, player, player. We got 5 players on the court that can do whatever they need to do, or whatever we ask them to do. And I felt like I was that player. I felt like I was a whatever player. I would do whatever needs to be done. Rebound, I could do that. Stop, I can do that. Shot, 3, whatever, I could do that. And so, what I'm saying, looking at this Florida State, I was like, that's what it is. But I did like Wisconsin. I didn't, like I said, I don't think I didn't take many visits my second time around, because I really wanted to start working early, and I kind of already knew that Florida State was my thing. So I could only really say Wisconsin, because that was my only really other visit for real.
So let's go into that redshirt year because as we know, the big discussion, obviously the rules change now. You can just go to school and play right away.
Yeah.
But I've heard from a lot of guys that have transferred previously that for guys, especially when you're an underclassman, if you can go out there and get 1 year to develop your body and you end up having 25 pounds of muscle onto you, but just getting kind of used
Mhm.
to the university, get used to the academics, get used to the team, like getting a part of all that is really beneficial to a lot of guys. So kind
Yeah.
of take us through that. Like, how big was that redshirt year for you?
Oh man, it's funny because like my family and I, we talk about how crazy it was how the year after I transferred, they allow transfers to be immediately eligible.
Hmm.
But I just tell them like, you know, as much as I would have loved to play my first year at FSU, I don't even think like I probably would have even been the right headspace to play. Like
Hmm.
I probably would have been so caught up in like jumping from Conference USA to ACC that I don't even think I would have knew what to expect, and then whatever hit me, like I don't even know if I was prepared to handle it. And so I just the time just to see uh, everybody's work ethic, how they conduct themselves on and off the court, uh, getting used to the coaching, the pace, the style of play, the importance of film, you know, being able to how detailed the film was, how much extra film you have to watch on top of just the regular film you watch at practice. It just was so much that I didn't even know, like I wasn't aware of, I wasn't exposed to, and I was just able just to sit back and learn, you know, and just play with them, play with all the good players at the same time. You know, being redshirted, I played on the we have a green team, which is a team pretty much full of the walk-ons or ineligible players at the time, and obviously I was ineligible due to the transfer, so I was able just to play with them and then even just learn from them. They taught me throughout the way too, so just like I was constantly learning, and I was just so thankful that I was able to get my body right. I was able to work on my skill set. I was able to, you know, just adopt a mentality that allowed me to just almost seamlessly blend in with the Florida State culture. And yeah, like that year was needed. I mean, I had to I got to learn my way around the campus. It was a way bigger campus than Rice. I had to learn how to catch the bus, manage even more time due to just a bigger campus, more activity, more people. You know, it was needed. I definitely needed that time.
I have to ask you this. Like personally, I'm would easily voted for that. I think it's great to have guys be able to transfer and play right away. Like you said, I
Mm-hmm.
think especially like I heard a lot of guys say this too. Like if you're an underclassman transfer, like if right after your freshman year to sophomore, like seeing out that year is very beneficial for a guy. I think once you're more experienced, it's not that big of a deal. But like
Yeah.
if you think like if you go back, like do you think this rule, are you in favor of it? Do you wish it wouldn't happen for maybe underclassmen? Like what's your take on the rule change?
I mean, the rule change, I mean, I feel like it is what it is. Like I
Mhm.
definitely if it was to be two sides and I had to choose a yes or no, I would say that I would be in favor of it because
Mhm.
basketball is a very tricky is very
Mhm.
tricky. It's politics, there's a lot of politics, there's a lot of,
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying, it's a lot of things that go on that a lot of people outside of basketball really wouldn't understand. Like it's like you kind of got to be in it, and you know being able to transfer and play immediately would be very beneficial for a lot of guys. There are some guys that would be ready to transfer and ready to perform for that team, but yeah, they have to take the extra year to sit out. And you know, during that time, you know, they could also be getting older. You know what I'm saying? Like that one style year, you automatically just got to add 2 years on top of your age right now because that's when you're going to play.
Mhm.
And you know, then you already going through the kinks. You already been through all that stuff. You probably done already knew the system, probably already prepared for the system, but you just that rule is in the way. So I mean,
Mhm.
I'm glad that they allowed that rule to happen, especially for the first time transfers. But also, just they also give them kids the option to still redshirt. Like you still have the opportunity to redshirt, and I feel like you should still be able to have that opportunity to take that. If you feel like you don't need that, then that's you. But if you feel like you do, then by all means, take that. But I mean, for me, it worked out for me, and I'm glad I didn't have that option because I probably would have tried to play that year and I probably wouldn't have been ready, and I probably would have felt like that was a waste of a year. So I'm glad I took that year. And I mean, as far as that rule, I'm glad that they allowed that rule to happen because, like I said, there are older guys out there. There are politics a lot. Like coaches change,
Yeah.
players change, relationships change. Everything changes nowadays. So it's like
Mhm.
if nothing's set in stone. So I feel like that role just kind of gives you that option or that way out that you've been looking for, or that opportunity to better your situation that you've been looking for.
And that redshirt year for you too, you get to be around a lot of different NBA players on that roster. Terrence Mann, someone I'm super
Yeah.
high on. I think we're just starting to see just a little glimpse of how good he's going to be for the Clippers or wherever ends up his career out. But he's going to be great. Obviously, Kevin Jelly's playing great now. Cleveland to end up the year. Trent Forrest in the rotation now out there. Utah.
Mm-hmm.
Devin Vassell, obviously, he's going to get more and more opportunity. You even got to play with him too his second year. Like learning from all these NBA guys, how much was that helpful for you during that redshirt year? And even some of the guys you play with, obviously, your next year, like how big was that for you?
Oh man, I mean, playing with all these guys, I mean, like I said, these were guys, all these guys that were leaders on this team at some point in time. Like at some point in time, these players were seen as leaders.
Mm-hmm.
And being able just to learn from their leadership style, learn how they handle things, learn how they handle adversity, learn how they handle their own personal problems. Because I mean, again, being a leader is tough because you get so caught up in taking the responsibility for others that, you know what I'm saying, you also got to handle yourself. Like you still got your own life that you got to handle. You're still at the same time a college student or you're your own person, you know what I'm saying, that you deal with your own problems like everybody else, but you also got to keep everybody else in check too. So I was just taking note of all that, you know, and the person I was closest to was Devin, and, you know, cause we both came in that 1 year that I redshirted.
Mm-hmm.
So we instantly grew that bond. So, but yeah, I just was just observing him. I mean, he was my best friend, and just seeing how him going from kind of the same situation where I was unnoticed and then be in a position where now you're a first rounder, and just seeing just how he was adapting, how he changed. I mean, not pretty much how he I don't even want to say change, because change almost seemed like change is a bad word, but like how he evolved as a leader and evolved as a player. And I just was like, it was crazy, because it was like, you know, that's my boy, but also it's like now at the same time my boy is becoming he's becoming the man. And so it just like playing with them was definitely he's still benefiting me to this day, because I use some of their strategies. I use some of I replicate some of the things that they did in certain situations in order to handle, you know, younger players, new players, older players, myself, coaches, like just being able to still see how players, even if they've been here for 4 years, still conduct themselves as leaders. So, I mean, that definitely is going to help me going into this next year, being a leader, and, you know, how to deal or how to, you know what I'm saying, handle and benefit the team going forward next year as a leader.
How does Coach Hamilton do this? Because personally, I feel like he's underrated when it comes to the guys, getting the guys to the NBA. Obviously, Coach Cal does what he does. Coach K does what he does. All these coaches across the country do it done. There's a lot of great ones. But you look at this list of guys that he's brought to the NBA, guys that are highly ranked, gets them to go to pro, guys that are unranked, gets them to go pro. Like, what is it about Coach Hamilton? How does he develop guys into NBA players throughout the course of a year or two?
Oh, man. I mean, Coach Ham, he kind of he kicks it off because he kind of is the one who has the plan. He has the plan, he has the vision.
Mm-hmm.
And then the coaches, I mean, our coaching staff is, I feel like, underrated. Coach Jones, Coach CY, Coach Smith. I mean, even when Coach Gates left Florida State, went to Cleveland State, and won Coach of the Year twice. I mean, if that doesn't speak volumes, I don't know what else does. But like Coach Ham does a great job at he has a great coaching staff, and him being able to recruit these players and have this vision for them and share his vision with the coaches, and the coaches all having the same vision and being just almost pretty much in sync, like that they help them. I mean, they take their players, coaches, they take time with you. You know, they know how it is being a collegiate athlete, especially on this level. They know the struggles that come with being an athlete, especially in this new era where social media and technology is so important, and it's so prevalent in our life that, like, you know, there's a lot more outside noise than there used to be when they were playing. So for them to be just so understanding and patient with the players, and being able just to constantly share their basketball knowledge and just show them how their knowledge benefits us in our career and our life, and how we can apply that to actually make some money. It's just, I feel like it's very overlooked. Maybe one day they'll probably do a documentary and people can kind of appreciate what these coaches do for not only just Florida State, but for the players individually, how they still continue to handle and manage relationships with players after they leave, how they still assist players after they leave college. Like, they got a whole team to worry about, and yet they're still, talking or helping a player out that graduated 10, 15 years ago. And it's like, just for them just being to understand players and just be player coaches. I mean, that's really the secret. Having people that care about you, people that believe in you. That's what would definitely changes a player. I mean, it's what changed me and how I got here, and it's what changed a lot of players who got here before us or before me, is that they believed in them. And once they believed in them, their whole attitude, their whole demeanor, mentality just changed, and for the better, not only to benefit the team, but to benefit themselves and help put money in their pocket and feed their families.
What's it like being around him? You've got to be around him now 3 years, and you got at least one more to be around him. But what's his
Yeah,
personality like? I've heard, obviously, I know he's a man of God. He obviously is very funny at times. He's
yeah.
welcoming. Like, just what's Coach Ham's personality like?
Oh man, he is a jokester. He stayed with the jokes. He stayed with the stories. He's always looking just to have a good time, have a good laugh. He loves to entertain. He loves just to be around people, just to socialize. And being around him, I see just, and I appreciate how much he does for other people. And like, he's such a generous person. He's always just listening to the players. Like, you would think that like a head coach, especially at like such a high level, has done this by listening to older, mature people, wiser people, people who've been around and learn from their mistakes. But like, he listens to the players. Like, when it comes to what our wants and needs are, like we tell him what we need, but obviously he trusts us. He recruits players that are good people, understanding people, and looking to just mature and grow and help others. Like, he recruits those type of players, and therefore he kind of that's what allows him to give us that trust, and he listens to us. And just being around him, being around his personality, I mean, again, it's so weird because they show him on TV and he has a straight blank face, but like, that's just one of those rare moments, because majority of the time he's laughing, he's joking, he's singing, he's dancing. You know what I'm saying? He's doing it all just to get the players in a good mood and just improve them around.
Now, you've been one of these guys that accept the role, and it's so unique with you guys at Florida State because I don't think any other coaches really figured out how to get guys to buy into a six-man or seventh-man bench role. And you
Yeah,
see all these guys, you all start your freshman or your first year out there, a majority of the season. Last year, you started on a couple of games, but you embrace the bench role. Your minutes and pretty much everything stat-wise stay pretty much the same. You have guys like
yeah.
Scottie Barnes coming off the bench, Patrick Williams coming off the bench. He's got top 5 picks in the draft. Like, how does he get you guys to buy in, rather be a starter off the bench? Like, how do you guys all get to buy in and not be upset about their role?
Well, it's because it's the success. It's the success, the past success. Like, obviously they know what they're doing. They've gotten people to the league, and I know it's easy to think like, well, like, yeah, he may have been able to get other people in the league, but like, no, I'm different. Like, times are different. They're like, well, no, at this point, like, he done got so many people in the league that he's plugged in. Like, these people know kids' potential now. Like, regardless if you're scoring 15 points or if you're scoring 9 points, like that, like, they see the potential. They trust Coach Ham. They trust the coaching staff. They trust the work. They trust the system. They trust the culture. And that is also a big thing. It's just that, like, the culture is just that is what's enforced immediately, is that you cannot compromise the culture. The culture is how we got here. The culture is how we became this new blood. The culture is how we became successful. And so instilling that culture in early is what makes it easier for guys to buy in later on. And so we have this we always have the same saying, we're unconquered. And a couple years ago we said we're 18 strong, but now we got like a lot more players. So like sometimes it'll be 19 strong, 20 strong, 18 strong. Like, I mean, but we're all, the saying is that we're all united and we're all together. We're all brothers, and we all want to see each other eat. We all want to see each other do well, which is very, very true. And therefore, with that comes sacrifice, because you know what I'm saying. You can't overshadow people and want to step on everybody's toes. You got to be able to let everybody eat. And if you let everybody eat and we eat as a whole and we keep winning, well, then the benefits are going to come back to everybody, because everybody was a part of the success. And so that's what a lot of things, like, I mean, even with our team now, it's just like they're doing such a great job in binding that culture, whereas like they're not coming in with these expectations to play X amount of minutes and start X amount of minutes and score X amount of points. Like they're just coming here and they're just blank minds. They're like a fresh sheet of paper. And then they're just trying to learn to see what's going on. And that's why I feel like we're going to be a really good team, is because we got people who are buying into the culture, and the culture works. Clearly it works. And if we keep having people buy into this culture, well, then you're going to see a lot of players that we're going to have probably Florida State in the future is going to have a lot of players where it's like 5 stars or 4 stars or highly recruited kids being okay coming off the bench, wanting to come off the bench, wanting to see what it's like first, and then going out there and then make their adjustments. Like it's just that's just going to be the norm. And I mean, I feel like other teams are probably going to start copying it because it works so well, and it will allow us to be so efficient, especially in postseason. So, like, I mean, yeah, that the culture is the top priority, and we treat it like the top priority, and it's discussed like it's the top priority to the point where people make it their top priority. And at that point, when people all have it as the top priority, then we're all good.
Absolutely. Let's head into your season now, playing out there. Your first year, you started, like I said, majority of the season, and you guys could have had another deep run. Obviously, COVID shuts it down at the end of the year. But you guys are ACC champions. You guys have a 26-5 record. Walk us through that year a little bit for you, and what was like getting on that court and playing that role for Florida State?
Oh man, that was a great year. That was a great year. I mean, the year was so great that, I mean, even to this day, we still just reminisce and talk about it, just share the memories in group chats and just discuss it amongst the people who used to be here and you know, saying know exactly what we're talking about. But that year pre-COVID, I mean, it was amazing. The fact that, like, we had a lot of players that just love to be around each other. Like, we just love to be around each other. And it wasn't even so, like, the guys didn't even want to, like, it's not like the social aspect of college was even an important piece to them. Like, everybody kind of seemed to have the same focus, and we recognized it early. Like, we were like, man, everybody's getting in the gym, everybody's working out, everybody's getting shots up, everybody's bought in, everybody's staying in and hanging out with everybody eating with everybody's going to bowling. Like, it's just like, it was so much fun just to be around the guys because everybody was just enjoying everybody else's company. And it just seemed like every time we hung out, it was a great time. Practices were a great time. We loved coming to practice. Being on the road was a great time. You know, being just able to go to these really nice hotels and then, you know, go through the scouting report and then have fun and just in the hotel and just like hang out, eat good food, and then get locked in for the game, and then have this killer mentality when it comes to the game, and then go back out there and then just discuss something else, discuss something we saw on social media, discuss something that happened back at FSU, or something, or what we plan on doing back at FSU when we get back. Like, it was a great year. I mean, COVID was definitely a big halt, but like before that, it felt like everything was just perfect. It felt like the team couldn't do no wrong. It felt like we just were handling our business like we were supposed to, and that everything was just working out like it was supposed to.
Let's dive into the senior year now, because obviously we kind of already discussed the whole COVID pandemic. We discussed that effects to it. But now this is a new team, obviously. Once again, Patrick's gone. You guys lose a lot of guys to the NBA, like typical. You guys walk into this year, and you don't know how it's going to pan out. 18-7 records, what you guys finish up with. But kind of take us to this year, obviously, besides the COVID stuff, but just ups and downs of the season. What was this year like?
This year was fun. I mean, even though it was COVID, like it definitely allowed us to spend a lot more time together as a team. Definitely unique for a lot of players. Definitely tough for a lot of players. Like, you know, not having social interaction, taking away that social aspect from basketball. It really is. It gives the game a different look. It makes the game not only feel different, but just look different. You know, it was, especially when it came to the false positives. I mean, having taken COVID tests every day, every single day, and sometimes 2 a day, it was just like, at this point, like, we knew, like, this was just what it is. It's the new normal. It is what it is. We just got to be bought into it. We just got to get lost in the process. We got to get lost in the team in order for this to be a good year. And a lot of guys did that. We got lost in the system. We got lost in the team, and we ended up having like really good runs where we played like 5 games and we won by average of 20 points. Like, we had some really good times where where the season felt perfect and it felt almost like a regular season. But when it came back to those false positives and then games being canceled, a lot of it started coming on the back end of the season. So it just really was kind of rough because it kind of was like a disruption to the focus, you know what I'm saying? Disruption to the objective, disruption to, you know what I'm saying, the motivation. And because like you prepare for a team and the next day you wake up and the team got COVID and then you can't play no more.
Mm-hmm.
Or somebody on the team gets a false positive and now the whole thing, everything shut down for 2 weeks. And it's just like, those are the type of things that kind of kill that fun for basketball. It's what kills that momentum. It kills that spark and that joy of basketball, because it's like, man, like this one thing is just kind of like taking you away from something that you've been used to playing all the time, that you're always around, and now it's telling you that you got to sit in the room and you can't touch nothing. And so that was rough on a lot of players, especially our younger players. And I understood it. Like, it's like the last year was really just about understanding and just getting through and just pushing through adversity and being connected. And so, I mean, it definitely had its ups, but it also definitely had its downs. And like I said, at the end, we ended up making it to the Sweet 16, which is still a pretty big achievement, you know, especially the fact that like we're the last 16 teams in America still playing. So like, this is still a special opportunity regardless of what was happening in the regular season. But then again, at that point, the regular season didn't matter when it came to March Madness.
Now, to go off the court a little bit, I know you also had a different role in the society. Obviously, I know it's campus too, part of the president's task force for anti-racism and everything. So take us through that a little bit. Like, walk us through how you got a part of that and what it's been like being a part of that.
So, Coach Ham pretty much told me that I was going to be nominated for it. And, you know, I had a lot of people advocating for me just based off of just interactions they had with me and just conversations that they had with me. And they thought that I definitely should have a spot on the task force. And, you know, at the time, I didn't really know how big it was because I was like, you know, in my head, I was getting prepared for next season. So my only focus was basketball. I mean, I didn't come into the next year thinking I was going to be on the task force. And, you know, then Coach Ham said, hey, like, congratulations, you made it on the president's task force. And, you know, to me, I was like, thanks, Coach. Like, you know, I didn't think nothing of it. I'm like, you know what I'm saying? I'm focused on this basketball aspect. Like, we're here to look forward to see how we're gonna make something happen out of this next season. And, you know, I started getting a lot of more congratulations. And then I noticed that I was like the only student athlete on the task force. And then we were talking about racial issues, which was very prevalent because there was like George Floyd had passed away, and you know there's the riots going on, and you know what I'm saying, there was so much conflict with police and Black Lives Matter, and so there was just so much racial tension. So it was just like it was cool because it's like I had a voice for others, and I was able to use that voice to make things happen. And so then we started having meetings, and I kind of found out what the task force was about, making the environment safe and comfortable for students because we have such a diverse population. And so like once I got on it and I kind of found my way around it, I really enjoyed it. And I took a lot of responsibility for it. Like I really wanted to take it serious because like I can do something or have a voice to make a change that can affect somebody else's college experience. That can affect, you know what I'm saying, to be the difference between, yeah, I like FSU or I love FSU. It was perfect. There was nothing wrong with it. You know what I'm saying? And so that was something that I definitely took pride in. And then I ended up establishing a really good relationship with President Thrasher at that time too. And, you know, at that point, you know, I was really thankful because I was like, President Thrasher's an amazing person. He does so much for this campus. And the fact that he's given us this opportunity to be able to use our voice to make something happen, it was just unbelievable opportunity. And, you know, I'm still happy to be on it to this day.
So this could be something you continue now throughout the rest of your college career, post-college. Like, how long does this thing last for you?
Well, I'm not too sure how long it lasts exactly because I know we have alumni that are also on the task force. So I don't know if this carries on or if it's renewed every year. But like, I know I was on it. I know I was part of the last meeting, and I guess until somebody tells me I'm not on it, I'm still going to identify as being on it.
Absolutely, man. So one big thing that obviously everyone knew about this season was we watched the NBA go to the bubble. We watched baseball have a former bubble, and then college puts those together. I know I've heard a lot of guys, the majority of them, if not all of them, have been, it wasn't the best experience being in the bubble. The games were great and all that, but take us to your time. Like, what was it like being in the bubble? Once again, isolating your room, like, just take us to life in the bubble.
Oh man, I'm not gonna. I mean, it was tough. I'm not gonna lie. It was rough. It was rough, but it had to be rough.
Yeah.
It had to be rough in order for us to have the tournament. And it kind of sucks that it had to be that way because, it's such a celebrated thing. It's such a celebrated event, being part of March Madness. Congratulations on being the final 32 team. I mean, being the final teams left. And just like, and I was like, I'm like, yeah, it feels like a celebration, but like, well, not even that it feels like they tell me it's a celebration, but it doesn't feel like a celebration. Like, I feel like I had less freedom here than I had before the tournament. I feel like I have less interaction here than I had before the tournament. And that was kind of hard because like you only got to really leave your rooms if you were going to get if you had a team meal or you were working out or, you had a team meeting or you're taking a COVID test. And it felt like every time I left the room, it was an objective. It wasn't really like I had my freedom to just walk around and just be and just kind of take everything in. It was just like, all right, see what you can see because you have to do this and then we have to get back in the room. And especially when it came to game days felt it was the roughest, even though like it was supposed to be celebrated, like, oh, you just survived and advanced to the next round, but you really don't have nobody to share it with. Your family can't touch you, they can't really be around you. They're just down the street kind of waving at you behind this border and you kind of smiling and waving back, and then you got to FaceTime them. But it's like FaceTime is okay, but like, you know what I'm saying? They came out there to see you. You want to be there to touch them, to interact with them, to talk with them in person, because that's why they came there. Especially if you really didn't get to see your family like we didn't during this COVID year. Like seeing your family was just like a big bright spot in it. Yeah. But yeah, it was rough. I mean, they fed us good. I was definitely say that we ate really good in the bubble. But I mean, and then we played Top Golf and went to the zoo, which was cool too. But that didn't really happen till like we made it past a couple rounds. So like it was like I was also like it almost felt like we had to earn that. And so yeah, I mean, as the other guy said, probably wasn't the best experience, but at the same time, I knew it was what it had to be. But yeah, like I definitely wish, like especially next year, if we have the opportunity to get back there, then I definitely would like to see like a little more freedom. Like I would like to see some things change. But yeah, I mean, that was my first March Madness experience. And even though it wasn't the best, it still was like the games were still breathtaking. They were intense. They were fun. Shoot around, being in those arenas were fun. Being a part of it, being part of the advertisements, being a part of, you know what I'm saying, just March Madness was fun. It was fun in that aspect for sure.
Absolutely. Well, a few more guys I want to touch up on before we really wrap this up is there's a few guys once again that's gonna be heading to the NBA now and kind of give us a little bit of talk about them. Obviously, the biggest one that's probably gonna get drafted the highest will be Scottie. Top 10 pick, could be as high as top 5. But take us through him. Like you gotta be around him an entire year. Obviously, he battles some injuries here and there, but just how special is Scottie Barnes?
Very special. Yeah, he's very special. I mean, I knew it. I kind of knew it before he even played. His build was like unique. He had this long wingspan. He was built strong. I mean, he was tall. I mean, he was tall and athletic. He had extremely long legs, strong legs. I was like, this dude is like, he built like an NBA player right now. But then it was just like, all right, let's see how he plays. And he plays like an NBA player as well. A lot of people, I don't know. I don't see how people. I always compared him to Giannis. I thought he was a Giannis 2.0. Nobody really ever said that, but I thought he was a Giannis 2.0. I felt like it just was the same build. I felt like he's long arms, long wingspan, can handle the ball. I'm gonna shoot at a decent clip. But also like plays extremely hard, plays really good defense, can guard 1 through 5. You know what I'm saying? Is a menace in transition. Especially when it comes to smaller players and smaller guards. Like I feel like his finishing ability with his athleticism, like I don't know how people didn't see a Giannis 2.0, but as far as personality, he definitely was one of those guys that he was energetic, he was happy, happy to be alive the next day. and he definitely just had this radiant energy around him that just was always kind of trying to put you in a good mood. He was always trying to get people turned up with him. I mean, you can see on social media the man loves to stay turned up, and that's why we loved him here. Is that he just brought that energy, and he brought that you know what I'm saying, that spark to the team, and in our desperate time of needs, and quite a few times this season. So Scottie is definitely going to be a good one. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes top 5, but I know he's definitely going top 10. He's a special kid. He's a special kid. He's a special player. So I can't wait to see where he goes. I can't wait to see, you know what I'm saying, how he produces. He's gonna be really good.
So you also were with Pat, obviously, the year before that, and obviously Patrick had an incredible freshman or rookie season out there in Chicago. But what's some of the similar differences, and how would you kind of compare the two? Like, would you say Scottie has more of a ceiling than Patrick? Like, what's kind of the differences, similarities between those two?
It's crazy because I feel like they have their own separate ceilings, and both of their ceilings are incredibly high, like extremely high. When Pat first came here, I thought his ceiling was unlimited. I still believe it's unlimited. And seeing Scottie, I felt the same way, that his potential was unlimited as well. Like, I felt like there was a couple of things about his game he needed to tweak, but I mean, everybody's game needs to be tweaked at some point. Nobody's game is perfect. And so I felt like, man, if he tweaks these things, then he gonna be unstoppable. And then same thing with Pat. I'm just like, man, if he tweaks these things, he's gonna be ridiculous. Like, and so like they're two different. It's crazy because they're two different freaks of nature. They're just two different freaks of nature. And it's like, I've never seen a player like Pat, nor have I really seen a player like Scottie, nor have I played against players like them before. So it's just like, when I see them play and I see them do the things they do, I'm just like, I've watched players and I've never seen nobody do something like that. I've never seen somebody do like that. So like, they're both incredibly skilled in their respective areas, and they're both just students of the game, love to learn, love to, you know what I'm saying, love to just take every opportunity as a learning experience, love to ask questions, love to be a part of the culture. I mean, both easily assimilated to the culture. I mean, Pat speaks for itself. The fact that he went number 4 to the Chicago Bulls, a lot of people surprised. And me being from Chicago, a lot of people hit me up saying, man, is this dude good? He number 4, he number 4. I'm like, bruh, just wait till you see him play, bro. Just wait till you see him play. We got lucky getting him. And sure enough, he came through it and just seemed to be another bright spot on a very young team and up-and-coming team like the Bulls. And the same thing I feel about Scottie is like, I mean, Scottie, if people knew about Scottie, wherever he gets drafted to, I know he's going to make that organization proud. He's going to make that team proud, that fan base proud, because he just has so much to offer on and off the court.
So if you're the GM, then if you got them both at, let's say, I think Pat was number 4 last year, who are you taking, Scottie Barnes or are you taking Pat Williams?
Sheesh, that's tough. That's tough. If I got Pat and Scottie, I don't know. I'm gonna have to make some trades happen because that's too tough. Because it's really about what the team needs. Because they both can play 1 through 5. I mean, not 1 through 5, but they both can play like multiple positions. They're both positionless players. They both play extremely hard. They both are young, very young. Like, Scottie is very young. Pat was like 17 when he stepped on campus. Like, they are both very young, so their ceiling is high. It's tough. I wish I could give you a definite answer. I really would have to see what my team would need because they both whatever a team needs and they see them as what they need, they're about to get what they need and more. Is basically what I'm saying. The Chicago Bulls got what they needed and more, and whoever's about to draft Scottie is about to get what they need plus some more. So it really's got to be what my team's looking like and what my team needs.
The other guy is MJ, and I'm not quite sure where he's going to draft it. I know there's mock drafts that don't have him drafted right now for the most part, but those are mock drafts. But I think he could be a guy, like we saw guys like Trent Forrest. That's not going to be a high pick, but he's going to find a way. He's going to get an opportunity. Hopefully this summer league this year, they have announced it now, so that he could get that opportunity. But overall, however MJ gets his opportunity, whether it be drafted, undrafted, two-way, whatever it looks like, what's the team going to be getting in MJ?
Yeah. MJ, I mean, MJ is in my opinion, I feel like he's a complete player as well. I feel like he has everything. Like, he was an athlete. He was a dual sport athlete. You know, he had an offer to go to Clemson for football at the same time when he was like committing here for not Rice, for Florida State. And so it's like, you know, that just kind of is a testament to of the athlete he is. You know, he's quick. He plays very low. He's strong. He has an incredible work ethic. I mean, he worked out so much. He works out so much that I'd be like, bro, like, are you sure you need to be working out this much, bro? Like you working out like every second of the day, bro. Like you need to conserve some of this energy. And so he just is a workhorse. He is a competitor. He loves to compete. He loves to be in the chippy battle. He loves to, like, you know what I'm saying? Just see who's gonna be the big dog. And at the same time, like offensively, like he definitely has worked on his shot. His shot is like money. His shot is money. He's able to do it, catch and shoot off the dribble. He hustles. He makes that extra effort on defense. Like when especially when he's competing and there's talking on both ends. Best believe he's looking to make the next big play, either on offense or defense. And a lot of times it came for us on defense, where he would come through help side and get a big block, or, you know, get a big rebound, or get a steal or something like that, or just lock up a point guard. And he's going to be somebody who can change the team as well. He's going to be one of those players, like I said, like Trent Forrest, like you said, like Trent Forrest, where it's like, you know what I'm saying, may not get drafted, but just give him the opportunity and you'll be surprised at what you see. You'll be pleased at what you see. And I feel like that's just kind of like the model with Florida State, where it's like, whether you pick a Florida State player in the first round, top 10, last pick of the first round, second round, or whether you just pick them up in free agency, you're getting a gem, because I feel like everybody at Florida State, especially players, have a lot more to offer than what you see on TV. You see what they can do on TV, but I feel like that's just a slice of the whole pie that they have. And so that's what's going to be when they pick up MJ. You know what I'm saying? A team takes the opportunity on Barsha. A team takes the opportunity on Turk, on Scottie. They're gonna see that they only were seeing a slice of the pie. That there's a lot of other slices that are left that you guys have not been exposed to.
Absolutely. Let's get into this next year for yourself now. And obviously, this is going to be a whole new look roster. I'm extremely high on Matt Cleveland. I think he's going to be an elite player. He's top 10, maybe in top 5, in my opinion. Jalen Warley is another elite player. John's going to be huge. Naheem, you also have a relationship with. Obviously, he was there for a little bit. But just the way this roster is coming together, also adding in some transfers too. Like, how excited should fans be for this year's team?
Oh man, this team, I spoke about it. I said this team could be like the team a couple years ago when we had Trent and Pat and Dev in them, and we were really, really good. I felt like it's just young guys that are learning. There's so much talent. One thing Florida State is going to have is talent. We're going to have a lot of talent, and like you said, you named a lot of players, a lot of good players, a lot of young players. Matthew Cleveland, really good player, really, really skilled, really sound. You know, not into all the flair. He just kind of gets the job done. And, you know, he's a good athlete. He's got a long wingspan, you know, and then he's young too. So, like, sky's the limit for him. You got John, 7-foot, sharp shooter, you know, and, you know, he's one of those guys where it's like, he's gonna like, especially because he's young too. So once his body starts filling out, he's gonna be really good. His first couple years in the ACC, he's going to see what the competition is. He's going to see what's required of him, what's asked of him, and I know he's going to step up to the plate and deliver. We got Naheem, led JUCO in offensive rebounds. He had an immense amount of blocks, 7-footer, huge wingspan, huge hands, athletic. You know what I'm saying? There's not a shot I don't think he can't block. He runs the floor well. You know, communicates, he talks, and then he can finish above the rim 10 times out of 10. So that's always a plus. Jalen Warley, big guard, very skilled guard. I mean, again, it's going to be another important piece to this year's team with his size and, you know, just basically his skill set. I mean, Florida State really is big guard university, and he fits that stigma along with transfer Cameron Fletcher from Kentucky. You know, he coming in, another big guard, another young player, another person who has a lot of potential. Especially when I feel like he's already played on such a high level, you know, at the SEC. So now he's going to be in the ACC, where so he knows kind of what's going to be asked of him already, and he kind of has that mindset. And he's a big guard, very skilled. And once he develops here, I know he's going to leave. He's going to leave a pro as well. Like, I mean, we got a lot of players coming in that are going to be pros, and that's just kind of becoming the culture at Florida State. You know, you trust the process, you listen to the players that have been here before you, listen to the coaches that are here with you that have been through countless and countless situations that you've never even thought to think of. Like, they've been through so much, they done dealt through so many personalities that you just got to listen to them and trust what they're saying, and then you can leave with exactly what you came here for. You can leave a pro, you can leave feeding your family, you can leave with some money in your pocket. You know, you can leave and be called a pro after your season at Florida State. And so that's what I'm really excited about. I'm really excited about these young guys. I mean, we're gonna have a really good team. They learn. They're not coming with no egos. It's all, like I said, all blank sheets of paper, just waiting to be taught. And that's why I feel like that's gonna be the difference between us being a good team and a great team.
Absolutely. Well, a couple more questions before I let you go. One is, I know everyone keeps talking about the extra year eligibility. We know you're here this year. And obviously, anything can change in the span of a year. Obviously, if you become a guy that's going to be an NBA draft pick, something probably will have a look at. But is there a chance that you come back, we could possibly see you at Florida State for 2 more years? Like, is there a chance where you consider that at all?
Nah, that's not a thing for me. I mean, I'm an older guy, you know, and I kind of, you know, I also got to be, I got to be honest. You always got to be honest with yourself. Like, you can't be 25 and be in college. I'm 23 right now, so it's like a lot of people ask me that, you know, back home, especially when I went back home for a while, and they were like, "Oh, like you got this COVID year, like you got 2 extra years, bro. Like that's great. You got 2 extra years." And I'm like, "Bro, I can't be 25 in college, bro. Like, how does that sound to you? How does it sound being 25 and being a college basketball player, bro? Like, even if it sounds good to you, like it's not gonna sound good to your body, bro. It just is not. That's not the way to do it, bro. And you know what I'm saying? I already done graduated and got my degree, and I'm going for another one. So it's like, you know, being able to, I really got to use basketball for what I really wanted to, but also I'm still gonna use basketball to make more money. I mean, I feel like I definitely have an opportunity to still to play basketball for some money and to support my family later on down the road when I have one. But yeah, like 2 years is that's a lot. So this is kind of really gonna be my last go round. And you know, I know my role not only is to just have a bigger role as a player, but just, you know, just to lead these young guys and kind of help set them up for success. You know, help them to achieve their dreams, because, you know I'm a handle myself, and now it's time for me to kind of pass that wisdom and that knowledge on to the younger guys, especially the guys who are still going to be here to carry on the culture and to just help Florida State and help them thrive in their own respective ways for when they become leaders. So, yeah, I mean, shoot, it was as fun as it would sound to be in college for 2 extra years. This is going to be my last one right here.
Absolutely, man. Well, the thing I was like wrapping up discussing is building a legacy for yourself. And I know everyone wants to remember for something. So when that time does come, not just after Florida State, but after your basketball career comes to a close in the future, when you walk away, though, what do you want to be remembered for what you achieved both on and off the court?
Oh, man. On the court, I just want to be known as that. I want to be known, you know, just as that guy who came through, and he just came through and got the job done. You know, like, I know there's a lot of things in basketball that people don't like to do. It's just like diving on the floor, hustling, sprinting back, you know, giving extra efforts on defense, you know, and just being the one just to just be okay with, like you said, being the 6th or 7th man and just still getting the job done. And I just wanted to be that. I just want to be that guy that, like, he never really put up a fight. He never argued. He just, when we put him in a position, he just went out there and did it. And so, you know, especially when I leave Florida State, I want to be known as this, you know, that guy that came through and did what he could for the championship team, that did what he could when he was here, that definitely just was that face that when you see it, you know, like, you know that this man, he came through and he just came through and did what he was supposed to do. And I mean, off the court, I want to be known as I mean, a lot of things. I want to be known as just the social. I mean, that social guy who is like, I was like being a basketball player. It comes with a certain stature, but like I never really carried myself like it was that stature where like I felt like like the big dog on campus. I just felt like I just wanted to feel like a regular person. That I talk to you like you see like people come through on campus and they say, "Hey, are you Malik?" And I'm like, "Yeah, how you doing? What's your name?" Da, 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 da. And I get to know you, and you know what I'm saying. Like you don't have to feel like don't feel nervous to approach me. Don't you know what I'm saying. Don't think that I don't want to feel like people thought I was too good for them or too good for things. Like I want to be involved in, like you said, task force. I want to go I want to be part of like certain other committees. I want to show people my artistic side. I want to show people that what I'm saying, I'm more than just an athlete, and that I got what I'm saying, I have my own personal life outside of basketball as well, but
Mhm.
basketball is a main focus of my life. But there's definitely more to me than just that you can see that I was being a leader, that was somebody who was trying to make a change in the community, somebody who was trying to lend a hand out for somebody who was trying to look out for people, somebody who was generous and had a good heart, and still to this day carries that and has been consistent. And so that's just really what I want to be remembered as when my career is said and done, not only just at Florida State, but just, when my professional career ends up ending. And, the fans that I interact with them know that, he was just a good guy. He always tried to sign every autograph or talk to every person, or, what I'm saying, just make sure he shared his time with everybody. And that's really how I want to be remembered, because I feel like, even though we're put in the status of being an athlete, like a lot of people get caught up in it, but like it takes like certain people to like be able to utilize it to help them achieve things in life and help them make changes in life, not only in their life but just for other people's lives as well.
Absolutely, man. And also being a believer, discuss your faith a little bit. Like, how has God helped get you to the point you're at today?
Oh man, like he's helped me a lot. Like I said, there has been times throughout my career where I felt like things weren't going to work out. Like I felt like I was on a roll, and then I just took that wrong step and I just ruined everything. And he would always provide like a symbol or like give me a sign that showed me another opportunity. Like I was at Shawnee College. I sent my letter of intent to Shawnee College, and I thought I was going to go to that junior college, and all of a sudden I found the Don Bosco prep school from a friend, and then finding out that signing with that prep school made the LOI null and void, which was very helpful because if I broke that LOI, I would lose 2 years of eligibility. So
Mhm.
like just things like that where it was like, wow, like this was the door that I desperately needed. And I was able to walk through that door, and then, being after going to Rice, and then uh trying to move on, not really knowing what was going on because I was really late I felt like I was late by the time I entered the transfer portal, and I wasn't having no schools call me. And, I felt like I made a bad decision and that I should probably go back up to the Rice coach and tell him that, I should probably, I should come back. And then lo and behold, I ended up getting an offer from UC Santa Barbara, which kind of kickstarted the whole thing going on. And then next thing you know, I ended up at Florida State, and it was just like, wow, another door that kind of opened for me that I did not think that would happen. And I was like, it was nothing else but God, in my opinion, because I was like, no, who else could have pulled this string from it? Who else could have had this random friend come out of nowhere and tell me about prep school? Who else would have this, what I'm saying, have all these people give me this information, insight, and all this support when I felt like I was on my own for like 4 or 5 years before then? I was like, who else would do that for me? And
Mhm.
I thought, I mean, it had to be God. And he's gotten me to this point, and my faith is strong. And I feel like he'll get me past a lot of more points in my life. Like, this is not the end. Like, this is just the beginning. Like, there's going to be a lot of more difficult decisions I have to make, especially even just towards the end of this year, just figure out where I'm going to go as far as my career. And it's just, I know he'll help guide me through all that. I know he'll help me he'll point me in the right direction of where I really need to be, regardless if it's even if it's not where I want to be. I feel like he's going to point me to a signal where it's going to show me where I need to be.
Amen, man. Well, as you just said, it's going to probably most likely be your final year now of college basketball. So give us your 3 biggest goals you want to walk away from the season with.
I want to walk away with a conference championship. I want another ring. I definitely do. I definitely want to. I want to go back. I want to go back to March Madness, and I want to finish. I don't want to do nothing less than the Elite Eight. I want to take that extra step that, there's been the door that Florida State has knocked on for a couple years, and I've always wanted to, like, I was hoping that we knocked on that door a couple years ago, and then last year, and we got to the Sweet 16, but like we were getting close to that door, and then we just walked away from it or just weren't able to reach it. But like this year, I feel like I want to be able to walk through that door. I want to knock on it, and I want to walk through it this year, and then I want to win ACC tournament. We didn't win it last year, and that was tough. This past year, that was tough, and that was just like, that was the second time we came close to getting the ring, and then just kind of let it slip through our hands. So I just kind of feel like I really want to redeem our team from last year and redeem what we felt like we should have had, and just kind of let the opportunity slip through our hands. So those are my 3 goals.
Absolutely, man. Well, best luck this upcoming year. Appreciate you come on today, and I'm excited to see what God got next year, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me, Zach, man. I really appreciate you, bro.
Of course, man. You always welcome on, man. God bless.
Yeah, man. God bless you too, bro. Take it easy.